creatures lurking in cemeteries, something strange on a rooftop in the dead of night. And then there's Miami, New Year's Day 2024, thousands of witnesses, a huge police response, and every single security camera recording from that night supposedly taken away before anyone could see it. 8 cases here. Some are probably fake. Some, honestly, they're really hard to write off. And one of them should make you stop and think, no matter what you believe about aliens or the unknown. Before we dive in, drop a quick comment. Do you think we've ever been visited by beings not from Earth? Yes or no? Let's get into it.
Some of these creatures were caught lurking in cemeteries. Others were filmed crawling across rooftops in the dead of night. And one was allegedly spotted by thousands of people during a chaotic incident at a shopping mall. From a strange being that supposedly entered a man's home in Australia to an infamous leaked alien interview from Area 51. These are more mysterious beings not from Earth caught on camera.
Can you come out of the grass?
The footage you just saw there has been floating around the internet for a long time. It was recorded by a man named Alex Player in Australia back in 2010. He claimed to have captured footage of an alien creature in his backyard not once, but 4 separate times. Encounters were filmed on October 5th, October 24th, November 20th, and November 28th, using both a video camera and his mobile phone. Alex described what he saw the first time as the clearest encounter. It was not that tall, only as high as the grass, and a gray color with a big head. Didn't make a single sound, he said. Things escalated in early November when Alex claimed the creature actually entered his home. He and his mother sat together in his room while it, quote, moved through the house in 2 minutes. Then we heard a thud outside like it was jumping off the veranda. Alex uploaded this footage to YouTube, got a lot of attention. The clip from the first October encounter was used in an independent documentary called Gone with the UFOs in 2011.
So we have Alex Player out in Australia. 4 separate encounters spread over 2 whole months, October 5th, October 24th, November 20th, and November 28th. He used 2 different cameras to record, and by early November, whatever he was seeing actually made its way inside his house. Most people who make this stuff up do it once. They get their clip posted and chase the views. That's the usual pattern. But 4 times over 2 months, with things getting closer and more intense each time, starting outside, moving to the yard, then right into his home. That's either a truly terrifying experience or one seriously well-thought-out story designed to feel that way. Here's the detail that stands out to me. He says this thing didn't make a single sound moving through his rooms. Then suddenly there was one loud thud outside, like it jumped off the veranda to leave. That mixed total silence followed by one sharp impact. Feels like something you'd actually remember. Made-up stories are usually cleaner, more like a movie scene. Real memories have these odd, specific little details that don't fit perfectly. And on top of that, the footage ended up in a real documentary back in 2011. That means someone with actual funding and access to experts looked it over and decided it was worth including. That's way more scrutiny than most random clips online ever get. Keep that in mind as we go.
See if you notice anything strange in this clip. Now let's slow things down and zoom in a bit. Some sort of alien-looking creatures lurking behind a headstone. The footage was allegedly filmed in 2005, but the video wasn't posted to YouTube until 2015. The person who recorded it claimed they hadn't actually noticed the creature until they watched the footage back years later. But no location, no name. Whoever filmed it remained anonymous. The video got reposted tons of times, and as you can imagine, reactions were all over the place. Some were pretty sure it was a hoax, but most people agreed that the footage was pretty creepy regardless, and there were also plenty of people who thought that it was genuine. Like one commenter who wrote, "I think this thing is demonic. I've heard of similar things being cited here in Oklahoma, and the Bible alludes to the demonic having an affinity with cemeteries." What are your thoughts on this video? Genuinely weird footage or a hoax?
No location given, no name attached. It was filmed in 2005 but didn't show up online until 2015. And the person who shot it claims they never even noticed the figure behind the headstone until they went back and watched the footage years later. That 10-year gap works both ways. It's either the most suspicious part of the whole story or the part that makes it feel most believable. Let me explain. There's something that happens all the time with regular photos and videos. You're focused on what's right in front of you, and whatever's in the background doesn't register in your brain at the time. You look back later, and there it is, something you completely missed while it was happening. It's not unheard of at all. Then there's the angle some people brought up, linking this to other sightings in Oklahoma and even old texts that describe strange beings drawn to graveyards. It sounds like a stretch, but think about it. Across so many different cultures and hundreds of years, people keep reporting encounters in these same kinds of places: cemeteries, crossroads, bodies of water. These spots feel different, right? They're places between worlds almost. Whether something actually happens there, or whether our minds just attach meaning to places connected to death, there's no simple answer. And honestly, that question is way more interesting than just deciding if this one video is real or fake.
This is footage of the infamous Victor alien interview. This one gets talked about a lot amongst alien enthusiasts. I've talked about this clip on the channel before too, but the version you're looking at here is different from the one that I've shown before. This is the original format. It's brighter. You could see more of the creature. For those not in the know though, let me explain. The video's been floating around for decades now. It allegedly shows an interview taking place with an alien being at the S4 base near Area 51. It was supposedly leaked by a whistleblower who only ever identified himself as Victor, made a copy of the top secret recording, and that footage ended up being featured in a 1997 documentary called Area 51, The Alien Interview, which also includes testimonies from people like Bob Lazar. Victor narrates over the footage throughout, though he never outright states that he worked at Area 51. Whether the footage is genuine or not, I don't know, but the story behind it is pretty interesting regardless. Victor's identity was also never confirmed.
The Victor interview has been floating around since the 1990s, 30 years now, and in all that time, nobody has ever proven it was a hoax. That alone is worth paying attention to. The story goes that this was an actual conversation with a non-human being at the S4 facility near Area 51, leaked by someone who only ever called himself Victor. It later appeared in a 1997 documentary alongside testimony from Bob Lazar. Now, Bob Lazar is a name you can't just brush off easily. He said he worked at that exact same facility back in the late 80s. He talked about Element 115 as the power source for the craft he studied, and at the time, that element was just a theory. It didn't even officially exist on the periodic table until 2016. The government denied he ever worked at Los Alamos until someone found his name listed in an old phone directory. The details Lazar gave were so specific, and parts of them have actually checked out over time. So when the Victor footage pops up alongside his account, it connects the dots in a way that can't be ignored. It's not proof, not by a long shot, but it's context. And for something this old to still have no clear explanation, that's pretty unusual in this field.
This video comes from 2015. Using his cell phone camera, a ranch owner at Nuevo Laredo was hearing strange noises in his backyard. He grabbed his phone and started filming. He stepped outside and he ended up capturing some pretty creepy footage.
Las láminas. Se estremece, voltea hacia el techo.
The strange sounds continued. Now it sounded like it was coming from the roof. So he quickly panned over and saw this.
Tira la cámara. Ahí. Vea usted. ¿Qué es eso?
Crouching on the roof was some kind of strange humanoid creature. It was agile, extremely thin, with unusually long arms and legs, and a small head. It looked like your classic pale crawler, rake, alien-like creature.
We're in Nuevo Laredo here. A ranch owner hears strange noises outside at night, grabs his phone, and steps out to check. What he ends up filming is something on his roof, super thin, arms and legs way longer than normal, a tiny head. People call these things all kinds of names, crawlers, the rake, whatever. But here's the thing. You hear the exact same description from witnesses all over the world. The US, Mexico, South America, even parts of Europe. Same shape, same proportions, same pale look. That consistency across places that don't always share the same media or stories. it's harder to write off than one random report. Sure, the footage is shaky and hard to make out clearly. And I get the criticism phones in 2015 took really clear videos, even in low light. But here's what people miss. When you're actually scared out of your mind, your body reacts. Your hands shake, your breathing gets fast and uneven, you lose fine control over your movements. That shakiness isn't proof it's fake. It might actually be the best sign the person behind the camera was genuinely terrified. And listen to what he says at the end. "We out of this." 3 times just like that. That's not someone putting on a show for a video they set up. That sounds like someone who just decided, "I don't care what I catch on tape anymore, I'm leaving." That kind of reaction is really tough to fake convincingly.
Alright, this is a crazy case. Thousands of witnesses, plenty of footage of people running away in a panic, but any security footage or personal recordings of the incident are nowhere to be found. Supposedly, they were confiscated, so the story goes. This is the very bizarre case of the Bayside Marketplace aliens. So on New Year's Day 2024, something happened at Bayside Marketplace in downtown Miami that still gets talked about today. Police were called out to the mall after reports of teenagers fighting and fireworks. Pretty standard New Year's chaos, but then witness accounts started coming in and it got pretty weird, really weird. Over 10 people claimed that they saw 3 massive humanoid figures walking out of a clothing store inside the mall, like 9 to 10 feet tall with long thin limbs and elongated torsos. They were also described as pure black, almost shadow-like. Others described them having a more reflective surface. There was a full-on panic with people rushing to get out of the mall, and the police response that night was massive. There are all these videos online of squad cars filling up the whole street, and people were like, really? I mean, some kids fighting warranted this response? Miami PD stuck to the disturbance explanation. They denied any evidence of aliens, but there were lots of witnesses who came forward describing the same basic thing.
Now this one, the incident at Miami's Bayside Marketplace, New Year's Day 2024, is in a whole different category. This isn't one person alone in their yard. This is a major city, a packed public space, and over 10 separate witnesses all describing the exact same thing. Figures that looked human but weren't 9 or 10 feet tall, long thin limbs, shadowy black bodies, some saying they looked almost reflective. People started screaming and running, and the police response was massive. Squad cars lined up all along the street. The official explanation from Miami PD, they said it was just teenagers fighting and fireworks. Think about that. When was the last time a bunch of kids messing around or setting off fireworks called for that many officers? That level of response doesn't match what they're claiming happened. Something went down that night that required that kind of attention, or they sent way too many people out for no reason at all. Neither fits the story they gave. And then there's the footage. Downtown Miami, packed crowds 2024. Everyone has a camera. People record everything. But every security camera from that area, every personal video that might have caught it, all gone, they say. In a world where people live stream trips to the grocery store, the fact that there's zero clear footage here is more suspicious than any blurry clip we've seen today. When evidence should exist, and it does, that tells you something too. This case deserves way more investigation than it's gotten so far.
Whatever the case, it is definitely a weird story. This strange image was snapped back on July 21st, 1967 by a teenage boy named Ronnie Hill in North Carolina. He was out in his family's garden when a strange smell hit him, bad enough to make his eyes water. He looked over toward a nearby field and saw a spherical white craft, roughly 9 feet in diameter, sitting on the ground. Then something stepped out from behind it. It had spindly thin legs, an oversized head, was wearing a shiny silver suit. It walked over, pushed some kind of black object into the ground, pulled it back out, returned to the ship, and left. The whole thing happened in complete silence, but during that time, Ronnie had managed to run inside, grab a portable Kodak camera, and come back out in time to photograph the creature while it was still there, standing about 15 feet away. Now, It's a pretty far-fetched story, to say the least, and looking at the photo, there are some issues. There's not much in the image we can use for scale, the image quality isn't great either, but there's still an image connected to the case, and that's more than can be said about a lot of alien reports that have gotten more attention than this. Ronnie's case never really went anywhere, but meanwhile, people with nothing but a story to tell have sold books, gotten movie deals, and built entire followings.
Ronnie Hill was only 16 back in 1967. He looked out his window and saw a round white craft sitting in a field behind his house, about 9 feet across. Then a figure stepped out. It was wearing a silver suit, had long thin legs and a head that looked too big for its body. The being pushed something into the ground, pulled it back out, got back in the craft and took off, all without making a sound. Ronnie ran inside, grabbed his old Kodak camera, and got back in time to actually take a photo. Sure, the image isn't perfect. It's hard to tell the exact size, and the quality is what you'd expect from a camera that old. But here's the point. Ronnie had actual physical evidence, a real photograph taken right then and there. That's more than most UFO cases ever get. And yet, while other people with nothing but a story wrote books, got TV deals, and made whole careers out of their claims, Ronnie's case went nowhere. That gap right there says a lot about how this whole conversation works. It's never really about how good the evidence is. It's about how good the story sounds and who's telling it. Ronnie just reported what he saw and moved on. That difference between having proof and getting attention is one of the most revealing parts of this whole topic.
In 2015, 2 people walking along a riverbank in a small Russian town came across this creepy alien-looking thing. At first they thought it was maybe a mutant chicken embryo, but it wasn't. One researcher said, "It seems that this body is neither fish nor fowl. This creature has a mysterious skull, no neck, and wings." It was examined by experts at an institute of biophysics who couldn't identify it. Biologist Igor Zadarev said extensive studies are needed to determine what kind of creature or organism it is. The body was apparently sent to Moscow for further testing. Scott C. Waring of UFO Sightings Daily said his tiny alien body was found near a river in Russia and has no resemblance to any animal known. Russian scientists are confused for what it could be and said they need to wait for the results of the tests. What were the results of those tests, though? It was never reported.
This one isn't footage or a photo, it's a real body. 2 people found it on the bank of a river and it was sent to a biophysics institute for testing. The scientists there said they couldn't match it to any known animal. One biologist, Igor Zadarev, said they needed to do more in-depth studies, so the specimen was sent to Moscow for further analysis. And then nothing. No results ever came out. That's the part we all need to stop and think about. This was actual physical matter. You can run DNA tests, look at the tissue, study the bones, all the tools of modern science. And whatever they found was never made public. There are only a few ways to explain that silence. 1, the tests came back totally normal, so they just didn't bother telling anyone. That seems unlikely given how interested they were at first. 2, the results were so unusual that someone decided the world shouldn't see them. 3, it just got lost somewhere in the system and nobody ever followed up. All 3 feel off in their own way. The first is just careless. The second feels like hiding the truth. The third means we'll never know what was actually found that day. The experts said it didn't match anything we know of. And then quiet. That silence bothers me more than any weird creature ever could.
And just what in the hell is this abomination? This honestly may be one of the ugliest things I've ever seen doing videos like this. Back in 2015, a woman named Gianna Papansi posted the image to Facebook. She'd heard a scream outside her home in San Jose, California at around 11:30 at night. She went to check outside and she found it. Of course, she had no idea what it was, neither did anyone else. She wrote, "I wasn't gonna post this, but I can't stop trying to figure out WTF this thing is. I heard something scream at like 11:30 last night, went on my side yard and found this thing. Was dead when I found it." The post made its way to Reddit, shared with the caption, "Friend found this outside her house, WTF indeed." Some people went straight to the most obvious conclusion, saying it's clearly an alien. Others thought it could be a miscarried animal fetus, but nobody could say for sure which species. Nobody ever identified it, but there's another aspect to this case that makes it even more interesting. People have been seeing strange lights in the sky in the area around this time. So the alien rumor began getting a lot more traction. Rational explanation or not, though, that is not something I would ever want to find in my yard or anywhere for that matter. All that said, I've been your host, James. I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, next time.
Over in San Jose, California, around 11:30 at night, Jana Papenzi hears something screaming outside her house. She goes out to check and finds this creature lying there already dead. She couldn't figure out what it was. Nobody who looked at it later, not online, not anyone with a background in biology could identify it either. And here's another detail that matters. She almost didn't share it. She held onto it for a while before posting. People who make stuff up for attention don't do that. They want eyes on it right away. The fact that she hesitated, then only put it out there because she couldn't stop wondering what it was, that feels like someone who really ran into something confusing and needed help figuring it out. No official ID was ever given. And around the same time, other people in that same area reported seeing strange lights in the sky. So you have a dead unknown creature, someone hearing it make noise before finding it, and odd aerial activity all happening at once. None of those things alone prove anything, but together, it adds up to a story that should have gotten a proper investigation and never did. All right, we've gone through all 8 cases, and here's what keeps running through my head after looking at all of them. It's 2024. Every single person carries a camera in their pocket. Phones take sharp, clear videos even in the dark. And the best piece of evidence we looked at today, it's a photograph taken by a teenager with a cheap portable camera back in 1967. That gap shouldn't exist. And the only way to explain it is either most of this is made up, or something keeps stopping clear proof from ever seeing the light of day. The Miami case is the one I can't shake. Thousands of witnesses, police response that doesn't fit the story, and not one clear video from a packed city center. That alone raises questions nobody has answered. The Russian River creature is the one that should have given us answers and didn't. Real physical evidence, sent for testing, and then just silence. That's more unsettling than any blurry video. And Ronnie Hill's story shows us how broken this whole conversation really is. Someone with actual proof gets ignored, while people with nothing but a story get famous. It's not just about whether these things are real. It's that the ways we're supposed to find the truth, the media, science, official investigations keep falling short. I don't have all the answers. I don't even know which of these cases are real and which aren't. But one thing is clear, the pattern of missing results, confiscated footage, and evidence that disappears. That's worth paying attention to, no matter what you believe. Drop your choice in the comments below. Some of this is real, and we are not alone. B, all of it is fabricated, and people need to stop falling for this. C, the Miami Mall case specifically needs a real investigation. D, the truth is out there, but we will never actually be allowed to know it.